The Demon Within, Chapter 3. My heart was pounding in my chest, a cold sweat dripping down my skin, and the scream I awoke to still rang between my ears. I grabbed my chest, just trying to steady myself, frantically looking around for Star, thinking she might be hurt. I was calmed by the sound of her heavy footsteps as she raced up the stairs. "Starlene, are you okay?" I say, throwing off the blankets. "Emma! Wait, what? Yeah, I'm okay," she said, running to the door and then pausing in the doorway, looking at me. "Bad dream?" she says softly. I look at her confused for a moment before shaking my head. "No, I heard a scream. Did you hurt yourself cooking?" She pauses, looking at me dumbfounded. "That was you." I look at her, matching her dumbfounded look. She tilts her head and walks towards me, noticing my hand still gripping the collar of my shirt, coincidentally right above that scar. "Are you okay? This is new." "Yeah, I think so." She sits down beside me. "That was me?" I ask. It wasn't that I didn't believe her, but it genuinely didn't feel like I screamed. Maybe like I've been snoring all night, but not that I screamed. She nods softly. "Can we talk about it? I don't mean to be pushy, but I know you don't like when I hide things. I can explain as much as I know." She looked at me, optimistic yet guilty. "Questions, or should I ramble?" I say with a chuckle. "A few questions first," she says softly. "That scar, when did you find out?" I groan and run my hand through my hair. I recognized my chest felt different when I got revived, but I didn't really know about the scar and how it looked until a few weeks ago, like the first day we got home. I noticed it and started panicking, and then you set the fire alarm off, I say, pushing her shoulder. "Sorry," she said with a soft laugh. There was a small pause before she talked again. "What about the voice? Can you explain it?" "There's the question I expected," I say, stifling a groan. "I don't even know where to start." She looks at me patiently. "I'd think if I was going crazy I'd hear my own voice, or like an inner monologue, but it's not either. This voice is like someone else's completely." She's slightly lower pitched with a deeper undertone, almost like an accent, but not really. I shake my head, annoyed that I couldn't place it. "And sometimes she's not there, and that's when my head feels normal. When she's there, there's an off feeling, like something darker, and she won't shut up. Originally, it was just whispers of nagging voices, words that would set me off, but about a week ago, it was clear words, harder meanings, and sometimes faint laughter, and now..." I feel my fist clenched, angry at what I didn't even know. Now she says full sentences I can hear, hurtful words that hit deeper than before, which sucks. I'm trying to control it more, and she's making it worse. And it's only making Winter hate me more. I groan, bringing my knees to my chest. This is stupid. She pauses and puts her hand on my shoulder. "I don't think you're crazy. I understand something's wrong that you can't control, and it's hurting you a lot." I looked up at her, happy tears almost filling my eyes. It felt so nice to not be called crazy right now. "Good morning, monster." That voice rang out with a cold laughter after I flinched. It sounds so much louder than usual. Star looked at me with concern after she noticed I flinched. "Don't worry, Star, it's just a little surprising sometimes." I wave my hand dismissively. She glances at the door with a frown and then looks back over at me. "Can I tell Winter any of this?" she asks softly. I snicker and nod. I don't see why not. I expected you to. Not to go behind my back, but to get more help. I know he probably knows something if it is demon-related. "It does seem to be messing with your form," she said slowly. "Ah, jeez. I was hoping you didn't notice that. Yeah, I've realized it's getting redder, which probably isn't good." I laughed softly. It was more because of the nerves, but it still felt good to try. And then I sigh. "But go ahead and tell him. Hell, maybe he won't treat me so badly if he understands I can't control it." "We can only hope," she says with an optimistic smile, a small chuckle, and an awkward gaze towards the doorway. Well, let's go make some breakfast. Not sick of my pancakes yet, are you? She said, pulling me off the bed. No way, those are the best, I say, smiling and starting to walk towards the dresser. I tense up as I hear the voice groan in my head. It rings between my ears, making my grip tighten on her hand. She looks at me, her happy face turning to worry in seconds. I wave my hand dismissively again. Headache this time. She sighs and lets go of my hand. Well, I'll start making breakfast, and I'll see you downstairs when you're ready. A nod as she closes the door behind her. I put my hands on my dresser, sighing softly before my right hand drew away slowly, running it through my hair. I look out the window, smiling at the clear skies and warmth that enveloped our neighborhood. I don't care how annoying you're going to be today. This is going to be a good day, I mumbled to myself. Or, well, the voice in my head. It didn't respond in any way, leaving me to sigh and get ready for the day. I walk down the stairs, smiling as I see Winter sitting at the table, his tail wagging softly beside him before he notices I came down. Then it was still. I shook my head, accepting it, and sitting down on a different side of the table. Star turns and smiles, dishing out the pancakes she's already made. Didn't you want help today? I say softly, picking up the fork she set down beside my plate. No, it's okay, Star said, smiling. You know I like cooking for everyone. All you have to do is sit back and enjoy it. She went back to cooking, humming softly as she flipped a few more pancakes. So, Winter said softly. His voice seemed so intimidating as he looked at me, his silver eyes scanning me with curiosity and hesitance. What was the screaming about today? Same as yesterday, I say with a groan. Just another bad dream I can't remember. I poked at my food, annoyed by the question I thought was stupid. He sighed and kept eating. Couldn't you remember every dream before? Even if it wasn't clear, you said you could remember bits and pieces. Yeah, at least that's what Star told me. Yeah, I say, annoyed but not knowing how to continue this. We sat in silence until Star came and sat down with more pancakes. We should spend lunch with Ira today, maybe even Clinton and Carl if Clinton isn't stuck with work, she said as she added whipped cream and berries to her pancake. I made a lot of pancakes, so I'm sure we could give some to them as well. That sounds good, I say, putting my fork down on the plate. I ate 2 pancakes and wanted to eat a third, hell, maybe even a fourth, but something in me kept me from doing so. I shook it off and grabbed my dishes to rinse them off in the sink. I sat back down at the table, happy just to relax with them before school. Should we bring some peanut butter and Nutella for them? I say, softly turning to look out the window. Yeah, I don't think Mom will mind if we take the small containers to school, Sir said softly. Emma. I groan as Winter gets my attention. He glares at me, annoyed towards my groan. Never mind, he said, picking at his pancake. I sighed and got up, going into the living room to watch some TV before we were all ready for school. As I scrolled through the channels, I couldn't help but listen in on their conversation. She's really getting on my nerves, Winter said, growling slightly. I know, but she's going through a lot right now, and you've got to give her time, just like she's giving you time. So I said softly. I sigh and just stare at the screen in front of me, pulling my knees to my chest and resting my head on my arms. That voice she's hearing is constantly bringing her down. She's fighting with herself and it constantly, for us. She shouldn't have to, and getting rid of her demon— We are not getting rid of her demon, and that is that, Star said sternly. I understand you're scared, and that's what's fueling a lot of this, but it is unnecessary. There are more things she needs help with, and her demon isn't one of them. She's got it. She believes in herself, and I believe in her. Can you please try to? Winter stays silent beside her. Please? Star said softly. I could hear Winter sigh. I can try. I can try and study to find ways to help her, but I won't trust her just because you asked me to. She's a killer, Winter said, emphasizing the last 3 words, saying them with strength, distinguishing every word from themselves, like every word defined a soul that I banished to hell. I just want you to try, that's all I ask. I will. I could hear the scratching of utensils again. Thank you, Star said softly. I know it's hard to. I don't expect you to trust her so quickly, and I understand why. Hey, hush now, it's okay, Winter said softly. I could hear him put his fork down. I will do anything for you, and that's not because of the promise. She's your sister, so if I have any chance at a future with you, then I'll have to learn to deal with her. He chuckles softly. There is silence from Star. Why are you turning so red? I'm not, it's fine, she said, almost squeaking, and I could hear her words muffled behind her hands. I smile, happy to know how Winter feels about her, liking that he cares so much. I knew I couldn't be mad at him all the time if that's what his intentions were with Star. We should get ready for school now. Emma, get your bag ready. She seemed more flustered the more she talked, stuttering with her words and quickly standing up. Winter chuckled again, barely crossing the line between a strong chuckle and a hearty laugh. I glanced through the doorway to see his face a little red. If you dislike the idea so much, we can always stay friends. No, it's fine. Star stutters a bit more, cutting Winter off and fumbling with the dishes in the sink. I laugh as I get up, humming a teasing tone as I grab my bag from the closet. Will you cut that out? Star said, splashing water towards me. I couldn't help but laugh harder, almost dropping my bag. You guys suck, Star mumbled, turning slightly. I could see the big smile on her face that matched her bright red cheeks. I couldn't help but smile proudly at Winter, who seemed annoyed that I was there to ruin his fun, but he seemed less annoyed than usual, so that was good. I shook my head and started getting Star's bag ready too. We should fly to the school again. Maybe I can beat you in a race. She looks at me, her smile dismissing the last conversation, and I roll my eyes as I give her her bag. Ha! Like a day's worth of practice is enough. I sneak her going to grab Winter's bag for him. He stands up almost emotionlessly and grabs it just as I can. Thanks, though, he said quickly as he puts his backpack on and formed his wings. I nodded softly and looked at Star as she put hers on, and I did the same. I couldn't help but admire the normalcy of their demon forms, almost envious knowing what mine was going to look like. I could feel it in my mind. That foul voice was grinning ear to ear as I knew I wasn't normal. I wasn't before, and I was even less so now. I formed my wings, almost trying to be hopeful, disappointed when I see them turn a deep red, fading slower than before. I sighed, annoyed at my body, and unformed my wings as Winter and Star headed for the door. I think I'm gonna walk today, I say softly. Better to work those muscles, too. Star looks at me concerned and then past me where my wings would have been. She looked saddened not to see them, but smiled politely. That's all right. We'll just fly above you, Star said, trying to stay optimistic as she opened the door, headed outside. All right. Don't let me hold you guys back, though, I say, closing the door behind me as they take off into the air. I sigh, looking down at the handle in my hand. What's the matter? Scared of the beautiful new colors you've gained? I think they look nice. Evil. Almost a pure mirror of hell itself. That voice laughed. It seemed so much clearer than before. I knew it was getting worse, and it started to seem like this voice was connected to my wings changing color. Maybe I'm just losing it, right? Some inner demon or something, I say to the voice. There was no reply. You can bully me constantly, but shut up when I try and talk to you. I groan as it stays silent. I am not evil, I say, defeated as I start walking, my hands seeming to drift away from the doorknob, as I turn towards Star and Winter, who are flying a good distance above me. I walk to school with them flying above me, having fun going in circles for a good few minutes before they found a nice pace to keep up with me. You should say it today, you know, Star said softly, poking Winter. Yeah, I will. Maybe at lunch. Just remind me then. But did you see how red her wings were today? Whatever is going on is getting worse. They barely faded. What if this is permanent? I sigh as Winter talks. I think it's related to her dreams. They're getting worse and she can't remember them. What if it's something so traumatizing that she's somehow forcing herself not to remember when she wakes up? And her demon form turning red is like when hair goes gray because of trauma. Star sounded a little lost in thought. Passionate concern laced her words. I shook my head, my thoughts matching Winter's next words. I doubt it. Nothing I've read even starts with color changing. But what if it's something undocumented? Star said quickly. I couldn't help but snicker. She seemed concerned for me, yes, but also that underlying need for discovering something new poked through just a little. Starine, calm down. I doubt it's something that bad, but maybe at lunch I can talk to her about it and find out. How? Star says softly. The way Winter said her name seemed to calm her down just a little. I have an idea in mind, but it's 50-50. It'll work the way I hope. Just don't worry about it until lunch. I've got to do more studying until then. Winter smiled calmly at Star. Okay. Okay, Star said softly. The rest of the trip to school remained silent. I continued to walk under them even after we got to school. They flew a little past me towards Ira, Clinton, and Carl, all playing in the field. I leaned against the school, feeling a little too lazy to go and play with them, but enjoying hearing their laughter. I formed my wings momentarily, sighing at the red color they appeared as, before I deformed them and sat down on the cool grass. I grabbed my backpack and started rummaging through it for the first spell book in the series. I thought I might as well learn the most I could about spells we might start teaching. Laughter of my friends flowed in the morning breeze as I read some new spell combinations. I knew we probably aren't going to teach these for a long while, but it's nice to learn them. Maybe I could learn about myself in the process. What spells would cause problems like this, or what did fix it. I sighed as I flipped the page, already about 20 pages in and nothing but summoning elements. I continued to read until the bell rang. I was the first to head inside when the bell finally rang, trying to get ahead of all the loud students before I made it to class, avoid the loudness of it all that liked to cheer on the voice. I smiled as I sat down, first of the class in our first period, math. It was an easy class, with almost all my friends, and despite being the busiest, it was the quietest for me. Carl was always helping Clinton. Star and Winter were either flirting or helping each other with new ideas, and Ira was in her extra science class, so I was alone with my thoughts, which was okay for now. I could focus on my studies, enjoy the nice chatter, or doodle and catch up on the easy homework later. It was calming to sit here, surrounded by the busyness of everything that wasn't towards me for once. I looked towards Star and Winter, who were looking through a spell book. Star had a sour look on her face, but that same hopeful look in her eyes. Winter looked calm, a little guilty and tired. I looked over towards Clinton and Carl. Carl was helping Clinton like usual, but I could see a smile on Clinton's face. It was odd to see, admiration and almost love. I shook my head and returned to my work, smiling at the sheet of questions to catch up on. Eventually the bell rang, and I couldn't help but run in the halls, excited to reach the kitchen for my cooking class. Running past a few students, almost thinking of flying over before I had a ping of pain run through my back, my power aching to get out, but sadly reminding me of the thoughts that it would bring. I shook it off and smiled as I reached the door, quickly sitting down at a desk and tossing my stuff from the previous class onto the desk, smiling wide as Ira ran in and sat beside me, pushing me slightly. "I heard we're making cookies today," she said, pushing her stuff next to mine. Or, maybe that's tomorrow's class. I laugh and push her aside softly, flinching when she jumps, making a small scream. "Oh, so you're ticklish," I say, smiling. She shakes her head and glares at me. "Oh, really?" Okay, I am," she says, pushing my hand away as I go for her side again. I shake my head and look at the front of the class as the teacher walks in. I almost scream when Ira pokes my side, making me jump just like her. I glare at her. "If we weren't in class right now, I would chase you, giving no mercy." She sticks her tongue out at me and points to the board with a big smile as the teacher pulls up a cookie recipe. "You are so lucky," I say, chuckling. "All right, class, you lucky ducks get the chance to cook some excellent chocolate chip cookies today," the teacher said, smiling and clasping her hands together. "Go to your stations once you and your teammate grab one of the recipe pages from beside my desk." I smile, standing up slowly as Ira runs and grabs the recipe. I walk into the kitchen towards the station closest to the window and start grabbing out what we'll need and running the warm water to wash them. Ira looks at the soapy mess of bowls and measuring cups and smiles as she goes and starts grabbing the ingredients. I quickly rinsed off the bubbles, not caring too much about how the dishes looked. I knew that the previous class had to clean them after they were done, so at most there was a little bit of dust. And that's where rinsing them off came in handy. Ira returns with the ingredients and sets them down. "Ours are going to be the best," she says, looking at the chocolate chips. I quickly glance around and pop a chocolate chip into my mouth. "Emma!" "Oh, hush, it's not like 1 or 2 chips are going to make a difference. Have one and grab the bowl." She shakes her head and grabs the bowl, a smile returning to her face as I hand her the measuring cup for the flour and I grab one for the butter. 2 eggs, right?" I say, pulling them to the side to mix them into the butter. "Yeah, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Can you pass me the baking soda?" she says, smiling and reaching her hand out for her. I pass it to her and grab the vanilla from our cupboard. We mix everything else and finally put the cookies in the oven. We were the second fastest so far, but now it was just a waiting game. I glanced out the window to be greeted with my reflection, but it was darker, and with glowing red eyes. I choke on the saliva in my mouth, gasping and coughing as I lean over the counter. Emma, are you okay? Ha! You freak, you fell for that. That voice rings in my head. I continue to cough, just trying to catch my breath, tears forming in my eyes from the sharp pain in my throat. I'm okay. I choke out, gripping my necklace tightly, tighter once I know it glowing underneath my hand. I lean against the counter, my face red from embarrassment as I notice a few eyes on me. I'm okay, I just choked on my spit. Sorry, I say, sighing, shaking off the voice as the pain lingers. Are you okay? That looked pretty bad. I can take you to the nurse. Ira, I'm okay. And it's amazing that you care, but you've got to remember I'm also a demon. If anything was wrong, I'd heal and just be fine, I say softly, putting my hand on her shoulder. And that's why Star and I had to carry you, and please don't bring that up, I say, cringing at the false pain of the memory of Clinton stabbing me. It's in the past. I'm stronger now. All right, Ira said, smiling softly. Oh, look, there's only a minute left. Our cookies are almost done. I smiled at her, seeing her distract us both from the uncomfortable topic. We pull the cookies out of the oven and smile as we set them down on the stove to cool, smiling at each other as we go and grab a plate to set them on. The bell rang about 5 minutes ago, and I sat in the hallway with Ira, patting her back with tears streaming down our faces. I was laughing, and Ira was still crying. Hey, it's okay. It wasn't your fault. I must have handed you the wrong bucket. I'm really sorry, I say, patting her back softly. She was holding one of our cookies in her hand, staring at it with anger mixed with her tears. It's so terrible, she says, taking another small bite of the cookie. I laugh, almost kneeling over, holding my stomach as tears stream down my face. Then stop eating this salty cookie, I say, through laughter and tears. But we work so hard and they'll go to waste, she says, sniffling. I shake my head and take the cookie from her and toss it into the garbage. Emma! Ira, I say softly. We added 2 cups of salt into those cookies. Ignoring how bad they taste, they probably aren't even good to eat. Like, medically. She sighs and wipes her tears. Come on, everyone is waiting for us outside, I say, softly patting her back. Are you ready to go? I pause as she catches her breath and nods softly, putting up a happy, optimistic front. Yeah, it's 1 batch of cookies. We won't make the same mistake again, she says, walking towards the lockers. I laugh softly, shaking my head. Yeah, I'll make sure which bucket I grab next time. I grab my lunch bag and wait for her to grab hers before we head to the doors and quickly run over to our friends on the far side of the field. They were all sitting at a picnic table. Go make another stupid mistake, that voice rang out, surprising me and making me trip over my feet, falling onto my face just about a meter away from them. Emma, Star says, quickly jumping up and running to my aid. I laugh and shake it off, sitting up smiling. I'm okay, I say, waving my hand dismissively. Just clumsy is all. Come on, Ira said, running past us and sitting beside the others. I laugh as Star helps me up, and we walk to the others, sitting down and starting to eat lunch. A few minutes go by, and Ira, Clinton, and Carl have all finished eating their lunch and ran off to go play tag. Winter sighs, looking between Star and me before mumbling under his breath. I'm sorry, Emma. I flinch, thinking I misheard him. What? I said I'm sorry, he growls softly. I'm sorry for hiding all these spells from you, planning against you and freaking you out. He almost sounded confused, like he was rehearsing words, which wouldn't surprise me. I glanced at Star, who had a soft but proud smile on her face, until Winter continued. But, I groan. Do you really want to be a demon? You've got so many problems going on. Winter, Star said softly, her voice stern. Your wings changing color isn't natural, and it's probably something to do with your demon being as uncontrollable as is. I feel my magic flare to the surface as he talks, anger in my blood as he calls me uncontrollable. That voice laughed in my head, just adding fuel to the fire. Wouldn't it be better just to be normal? Taking away your demon would remove a number of problems from your life. And do you seriously want to be something that... He pauses, gesturing to me. I glare at him, and then close my eyes, redirecting my anger as pride, standing on the bench I was sitting on and smiling softly, hiding my clenched fists at my side. Yes, Winter, I want to be a demon. I appreciate your concern, I swear I do, but everything I've lived for is to prove that not all demons, monsters, I couldn't help but add a little attitude to my words, can be good if we tried. It's not in our blood to be monsters, but formed to what we have to grow used to. Hellborn are probably bad because that's how they survived. But it's not the same here. We're free to be good or bad, and I choose good. I turn into my demon form and smile proudly, closing my eyes. It's what Dad wanted as well. I sighed softly, smiling before I opened my eyes. Emma. I could see fear in his eyes when I opened mine. Star's expression matched his, and mine quickly faded. I didn't need to look over my shoulder to see that my wings were a deep red. And they weren't fading. The more they stared, the more that voice seemed to giggle, turning into a hearty laugh as I started to panic. It's getting worse. What is going on with you? Winter said, standing up, fear in his movements. Not fear for me, but fear as if I was a ticking time bomb. I don't know, I say, quickly curling my wings around my body. Star looked at Winter with concern in her eyes as I sat back down and quickly turning back into my human form. There was a pause, silence that was only broken by the laughter of everyone else in the field. Emma, Winter said, his voice cold but calm once again. I don't think it'll help or solve any problems, but the dreams you can't remember. I had a plan for them. I started looking at him with forced optimism. We could use that spell I used to contact you guys. I would be able to see your dreams, and maybe it could lead us to some answers. Star opens her mouth, but quickly closes it. Winter snickers softly, and I could see his arm shift to hold her hand. Star was thinking maybe it's something so bad you're forcing yourself to forget when you wake up without knowing it. And maybe that something is causing a domino effect. I sigh and rest my head on my hand. It's probably worth a shot, but if that's the case, are you sure you're prepared for whatever you might see? I mean, if it's enough to cause me to react like this, it'll probably ruin your deep, dark, nothing can bother me psyche. He chuckles and shakes his head. I'll be fine. Star smiles at the both of us, leaning against Winter's arm as well. I shake my head and pick up the scraps of my lunch. After school, maybe? I mean, we're going to hang out with Ira, but it works, he says, no kindness or regard in his voice. I sigh and continue to pick up my food until the bell rings. I couldn't help but notice that through the rest of the classes, Winter seemed more interested in spells than usual. Thankfully, I noticed he was just studying the dream spell, but I could see him glossing over memory spells as a precaution. It made a chill run up my spine that he did consider that my mind might be too much. I sigh and focus on my work, trying to block out the voice as it got louder today. Meaner, louder, and more defensive with its taunts. I could see Star hopeful of the spells Winter was studying. It made me angry to think she was on board with him using some spell on me. I sighed as we walked home from school. We wanted to dump our school stuff at home before we met up with Ira and hung out for the rest of the day. The idea of Winter preparing to use some spell on me made every second of the day seem unbearable. His words rang through my head, fueled by that voice. Do you really want to be a demon? I glared at the ground as we walked. Winter was walking with Star ahead of me. It was nice to see them getting along so well, but I just couldn't shake this hatred for him right now, planning to use some spell just like Ava. I knew he was trying to help, but I didn't want this. I wanted him to see how wrong he was, how much he was just like Ava. I felt my back ache, my magic flaring up as my wings seemed to push against the surface. I bite down, my jaw tight, just like the fists in my pocket. This anger I couldn't shake. I didn't even feel the darkness in my eyes, unaware of it as my gaze drifted upwards, my eyes locked on Winter as he walked in front of me, unaware of my hate-filled stare. I flinch as my view is blocked by Star, who is also blocking Winter's view of me as he turns around. Hey, she said softly, pulling the hatred from my blood. Her voice was calm as she put her hand on my shoulder. He's just trying to help, and I'm gonna be here every second. You know he won't do anything I don't approve of. And I'm on your side with this one. I don't think you deserve to have your magic taken away from you. My eyes widened, the darkness fading from them as my back seemed to relax. I heard Winter groan as we walk ahead. I felt my shoulders relax as I look into her eyes. You're gonna be okay, so please don't hate him for trying. I look at the ground, unsure of what to say and not wanting to argue. I promise he's just trying to help. He has good intentions. I open my mouth to cut her off before she chuckles and tilts her head to meet mine again. I close my mouth and sigh. Yeah, alright, I mumble as we start walking again. Thank you, sis. She smiles before running off to catch up to him. My eyes widen as I see her hold his hand. I relax a little, almost forcing myself just to make sure I don't get angry again, focusing on her happiness before my hatred consumed me. We get to our house, toss our bags in the closet, and give a quick hello and goodbye to our mom as we're out the door again. I ran ahead, excited to focus my attention on Ira and ask if her stomach was upset by the cookies yet. It took just a few minutes to reach her house as I ran. Star and Winter were flying above me to keep up, chatting and laughing with each other as I ran up to her door, knocking quickly. Ira! I yell, standing impatiently at the door. I smile at Star as she lands beside me. Winter lands beside her, waiting quietly. I hear a small bonk, like someone dropping something or hitting a door. I look around, trying to see what happened before I hear Star laugh. It made me flinch, and I looked at her surprised before she points to the corner of the window of the door. Ira was sitting there making a goofy face. I laugh as she opens the door, smiling wide. Come on, you crazy people, Winter says, pulling Star along softly. His face seems to light up as he admires her laugh. I continue to laugh even as Ira comes outside, closing the door behind her. After I'd calmed down, I quickly asked if she was okay. Yeah, why wouldn't I be? The cookies, I say, nudging her shoulder. Star turns to look at us, concerned. We accidentally added salt instead of sugar. I giggle softly. I'm fine, Ira said, pushing my shoulder slightly. Besides, I only really ate one. Yeah, because I wouldn't let you eat it all. I heard Star and Winter laugh softly as we walked. So, what's the plan today? Ira made conversation as we walked. I think we're just going to relax a bit since it's nice and warm out. We're also going to do a spell on Emma, Winter said coldly. I felt my eyes flicker, anger flaring up his nonchalant tone. I quickly sigh, shaking it off. Yeah, that too. He thinks finding out what I'm dreaming about might help what's going on in my head, I say in a joking tone, thinking this is all for nothing. Well, who knows? Ira said softly. I look at her, surprised and a little betrayed. Covering all the bases would be a good idea, and if there's something wrong with your head, maybe finding out what you're dreaming about might help. I groan and look at the ground. I think it's stupid. If there was something wrong with my head, I would know. I would understand it, I say, biting my tongue slightly. But I know it's not. It's different. Ira sighs and pats my back. You've been through a lot. Maybe there's at least a clue in there, Ira says, poking my head. I push her away and smile softly. Yeah, sure. We spend quite some time just relaxing in the field, going from playing cloud tag to some sort of zombie tag, and now we're just sitting in the field relaxing in a circle. I had my head in my hands as my elbows rested on my knees. My eyes were closed, just enjoying the chatter between Star and Ira. But my happy thoughts were ripped from me as Winter clears his throat. I didn't realize how tired I felt until I opened my eyes to glare at him. I could feel the sun on my back, the warmth of it flowing through me. The weight of everything today was pressing down on my shoulders, and the stress and headache of this nagging voice that made my head heavy. I sit up as I glare at Winter, the movement getting the attention of Star and Winter. Oh, is it time for the spell? Ira said, smiling wide, excited to learn something new that wasn't harmful. I groan and nod. As good of a time as any, I say, looking at Winter as he reaches into his pocket for the spell notes. All you have to do is sleep. I have to do all the hard work, he says, going over his notes. He points a finger at me, making a motion for me to lie down. I groan and lay back, keeping my hands in my pockets. The sun was now shining on my face, and I couldn't help but relax just a little more. It was warm, welcoming to the sleep that started to creep in. I still think it's a waste of time, I say, my words drifting away from me, getting weaker as I welcome in the dark void that replaces my mind. The usually purple-tinted void was replaced with red. I felt my heart jump, something in me recognizing it quickly, preparing me for the worst. My chest hurt as my heart pounded, my body shaking, even before I heard that wicked laugh ring out around me. It was so much louder than when it was just in my head. Welcome back, Emma. That voice seemed to echo through my mind, even though now she was right behind me. I quickly turned, my palms ready to form the fire to protect me. Who are you? I say quickly. She glares at me, annoyance mixed with her rage coating her eyes. They were a deep red that seemed to glow against her dark brown hair. It was darker than mine, but just as long. She seemed to pause, glancing at me. I hesitantly turned to see Winter's silver eyes glowing in the darkness. I look back to the person in front of me. I flinch as I see her tail swish behind her, matching her annoyance. It was then that I noticed her demon form. It was much like mine, with big ram-like horns on the side of her head. They seemed thicker than mine and covered in tiny scars. And her wings stretched out behind her, almost a mirror image of what mine had become. I feel my anger fester as she doesn't answer, almost looking like she's waiting for me. "I said, who are you?" I yell, taking a step towards her. She laughs, waving her hand dismissively. "Seems you've forgotten again, but I guess that's why you brought that mutt with you." I heard Winter growl at her words. "I am Curlia, a pureblood demon much like yourself." I felt the room go silent as she spoke, until she laughed at the surprised expression on my face. "Ah, someone can't handle knowing you have what mortals would call an inner demon." I felt my body shaking, something feeling so familiar in this void right now, like it's happened all before. "And now that someone is here to remember, I can answer all your questions and not feel annoyed by the next time you come in here asking them all over again." I open my mouth to speak, but she stops me. "How?" I quickly shut my mouth. She must be right. It's exactly what I was going to say. "Possession, of course." She clasps her hands together with a big smile. "See, I'm of high rank and class, and apparently you're causing quite a stir down in hell, so I've been sent to gather information and eventually deal with you as needed." I heard Winter growling. "But this fun little way of gathering information is delightful. I get to learn every little thing that makes you tick. And I know so much about your group of friends." She scoffs as she walks towards me. I quickly take a step back as she starts circling me. "Why?" I mumble, staring at her, my eyes aching to form a protective fire that I couldn't summon. "You're friends, and you are upsetting the higher-ups, much like myself. We aren't supposed to be good. You're lucky that idiot killed your father when he went crazy. We could never track him down. Besides, when he died, it was one less corrupted that we wouldn't have to worry about." I watched as she continued to circle me, stopping between me and Winter. I couldn't help but glance at Winter, who had an odd look on his face. Hatred, but also agreement. I shake my head and glare back at Curlia. "Listen," she says, taking a step towards me suddenly. I quickly take a step back, tripping over my feet and landing on my butt. I stare up at her, fearful for my life as she walks towards me. "Demons aren't good. You aren't good." I felt tears well up in my eyes. "You demons will never be good. And the only thing that's good about all of this is that you're bringing new souls to torture in hell." I open my mouth, flinching as she opens her wings. "No." I glare at her, gritting my teeth and speak anyway. "Don't hurt my friends." She glares back at me, her eyes shimmering red like the fireball in her hand, her whites just as dark as the void around me. "Oh, I won't do anything like that yet." She laughs. "But you might." I freeze. She knows every little weak spot. "You're an uncontrollable monster, Emma. You think of hurting your friends." She motions to Winter, and we meet eyes. The look of betrayal in his eyes pained my soul. It wasn't my fault. It was her controlling me. No, it was because I was scared of him. I bite my tongue and look down. "You've killed so many people. More than I expected." She seemed happy as she spoke. "And you are going to kill so many more." I couldn't help the tears that streamed down my face. "And you know it." "That is enough," Winter said, his voice laced with anger. "You are crazy. This is stupid, and you need to stay out of it. What is one stupid pureblood going to do to change the balance of heaven and hell?" Curlia laughed as she looked down at me. Winter's words are just as harmful as hers. He didn't believe in me, and he hates me. "We Hellborn don't want to find out," she says, turning away from me. I tilted my head up to see Winter snarling at her, his body barely hidden by the darkness, his teeth glowing through the void. "You Hellborn should rot," Winter spat. "Shut it, mutt," she spat back, smirking as Winter flinched. "Just as weak as I thought." She turns away from him, walking back towards me as I stand up. "Please, he's right. I won't be able to do anything. Just leave us be." I say, my body shaking violently, the thought of something in my head tearing me apart from the inside out, affecting every part of my being. No, I will do what I please, and you won't be able to handle too much more of me. I can tell. You're already too weak to stop my power flowing through your blood. They've all seen it. I stare at her in shock, knowing she's referring to my wings. She walks towards me calmly. You aren't able to stop me, Emma. Please. I feel my words catch in my throat as her fist hits my stomach, bringing me to my knees. I didn't even get to see her draw it back before it made contact. Pain pulsed through my gut as my knees made contact with the void. Shut up. I rest one hand on the ground, looking up at her with fear, noticing this time the muscles in her leg twitch and tense up under her black tights. This is your last warning, Emma. Surrender yourself to hell, or I'm taking control, once and for all. I'll try and get away as I see her plant her feet. I'm stopped mid-turn as she grabbed my hair, tears forming in my eyes as her foot drew back. And your friends are my first targets. I cry out in pain, a scream choking me as she kicks my ribs, waking me instantly. I could feel the pain, I could hear the scream, but between them both, I couldn't tell that it was me screaming. Just like this morning. I hear Ira and Star gasp before Ira giggles. That wasn't because of me poking her, was it? Star laughs and shakes her head, worriedly looking at me and then at Winter. He was sitting up, his eyes staring at the ground in fear, quickly ridding the smile from Star's face. You found something, Star said quickly, her voice shaking as Winter looked at her, his normally stubborn front broken and replaced by pure fear. He quickly turns to me, grabbing my shoulders as I sit there rubbing my side where I still felt the pain. Emma, do you remember anything? I flinch as he stares at me, look at the ground a little confused. I remember pain? Some sort of name. Kyra, Kayla. Winter growls and his grip on my shoulders tightens. Corlia! I feel my body tense up before he pushes me away slightly. God damn it! He yells, crumpling the spell in his hand. Winter, what's going on? What did you find? Star sat up a bit, placing her hand on Winter's knee, and Winter was silent, running his hand through his hair. I groan, annoyed at the pain that wouldn't go away. I try healing and eventually just resort to figuring out why my side hurts so bad. My jaw drops as I see deep purple bruising along my side. I glance up at Star, panicking as my healing does nothing. Guys? I mumble, Ira gasps before Star even looks over. Both Winter and Star stare at me, fear growing on Winter's face as he notices. Guys, I can't heal this. I feel myself feed off Winter's fear, my heart racing in my chest. I felt my body shaking as Star quickly moved closer to me, healing my side like nothing was wrong to begin with. Winter stares at me, knowing everything that I don't. Emma, give me your hand, he says quickly. I hesitantly put my hand out and he grabs it tightly, pulling it towards him and creating a flame out the end of his finger. I felt my body instinctively move away, but his grip was too tight. Hey, that hurts, I say, trying to pull my arm away as he moves the fire to my palm. He growls at me. Winter, cut that out, it really hurts. I felt his nails digging into my skin as his fire formed blisters on my palm. Winter, Star says after a few seconds. I had tears in my eyes and cuts from his nails in my wrist. Enough! He stops, dropping my hand, which I quickly grab in pain. Heal, he barks at me. I glare at him with confusion in my eyes. I said heal, damn it! Winter, what the hell has gotten into you? Star said quickly. I couldn't even hear them as they continued arguing about my health or what his problem was. I couldn't tear my eyes away from my hand. The blood that pooled along the cuts, unhealing and dripping down my arm. The blisters on my palm were just as bad, pain pulsing through my arm and fingers, and it wouldn't heal. I felt my chest get tight as I bit down on my tongue, pure panic washing over me as I realized it wasn't just my side that I couldn't heal. I couldn't heal at all. I flinched as I felt pain pulse through my back suddenly. The fear pushed me over the edge I didn't even know I was on. My wings dropped by my sides, unmoving and a deep red. My tail tightly curled around itself, and my horns didn't even seem to cause a headache compared to how bad everything hurt as is. There was a silence since I turned into my demon form. Star paused mid-sentence, and I saw the fur on Winter's tail stand on end as he turned towards me. I couldn't stop the fear in my eyes as I looked up at Star. I can't. I mumble, tears streaming down my eyes. I couldn't help but notice Ira staring at my wings. Starina, I can't heal. I choke out, struggling to breathe. Her eyes widen, her right eye turning black as she quickly grabs my hand and heals me. The warmth of her magic flowed through and mended each scratch and blister, and I go quiet again, grabbing my hand softly, admiring her work with fear. Star looked at Winter, anger and fear in her eyes as they glowed a royal blue. What the hell is going on?